You know, Transformers is a franchise that means a lot to a lot of people. It is one of the most groundbreaking franchises of all time, and one that, to me, meant a lot to my childhood. I mean, the fact that you had a fantastic cartoon, a generally fantastic cartoon, and generally good toys to go along with it, it was just something that not a lot of companies could say. Even more so, could companies not say they had a toy as innovative as Transformers? It was two toys in one. And that has made it leave such a long lasting legacy. However, sometimes Transformers does things that are odd, strange, goofy, silly, and just sometimes downright bizarre. And that is the avenue that I want us to go down today. I hope you guys are as excited as I am to get into the absolute weirdest Transformers toys of all time. So, do you guys remember going to your local library or even your scholastic book fair at school and seeing this book series called Animorphs, where they just had the goofiest book covers known to man with some of the crappiest CGI transitioning I've ever seen? By the way, I've never met a single person who's read these. If you've read these, let me know because I've never met a single person. But guess what? They got Transformers toys and they look hideous. I gotta be honest with you, I have no idea why these exist. I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm not wanting to necessarily criticize the books because maybe they do have some sort of fan base that I've never heard of, but I don't think it was necessarily popular to receive a Transformers toy on. I think what a Hasbro designer just looked at the book and was like, yeah, we could make toys based on this and sell them because they're everywhere. But like, I mean, they didn't design them well at all. They decided to make them midway through transforming for some weird reason, and they just look like absolute crap because of it. And I mean, look at this dude with the weird eagle head. Like what? Like what is that? What in the world even is that? That looks horrifying. I mean, I don't know. I think that this was probably just a ploy to, sell more toys by putting these under the Transformers brand because they had nothing to do story-wise with Transformers as far as I know. But yeah, I mean, they exist. They're here. I don't know why they're here, but they're here, and we have to live with it. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in, where Animorphs Transformers were once a thing, and you could very well find one at your local flea market. The next time you're digging through rummage bins, folks, be prepared, because you don't know what might await you down in those depths. A lot of weird Transformers toys you might find out there happen to be crossovers for some reason, and this is a perfect example of that. Do you guys remember the weird Michael Bay movie Transformer that was a Mountain Dew vending machine? Well, he got his own Transformers figure, and side note, holy crap, $133 is a hefty amount for the Transformers AD-11 dispenser figure. But yeah, what's really weird about this is a couple things. One, they couldn't get the licensing for Mountain Dew, so they just came up with some weird garbage name and slapped it on the side of it. And the other thing is, this Transformer transforms into a vending machine. But he actually doesn't. He actually transforms into a delivery truck. So, yeah, I don't know what happened here. I guess they thought a delivery truck would be more playable, which I guess does make sense, but it's not really true to the design of the movie. So, I don't know why they decided to do that. But do you notice how the top of the truck looks a little strange? Like, why is there so much printing on the top of the truck, right? Well, the reason for that is because spoiler alert, he actually does transform into a vending machine. All you need to do is turn the truck on its side, and bingo, bango, bongo, he is now vending machine. Who thought this was a good idea? Like, if you wanted to make him a truck, fine. Like, that's cool, but like, why did you try and fit the vending machine in with that? It just looks terrible. I mean, ultimately, it's not that bad as a whole, but like, I mean, having a vending machine on the top of your car just doesn't make any logical sense. Like, pick one or the other, bro. Please. Oh, and side note, he actually did get a second toy, and it looks like this. That's all I have to say about the second toy. All right, so let's break away from crossovers for a second and just talk about some really weird and bad designs I just found in general. This is from a line of ones they tried called Pretenders, which basically was Transformers who had a third alt mode in which they tried to mimic humans, and they looked like this. You know, I really don't have much to say on this. It gets really weird because they're trying to blend in with humans, but then, you know, you get like this, like he's like a weird like Spartan soldier or whatever that's supposed to be. So like is how well can he be blending in with human society to begin with? That and the human head sculpts are just nightmare fuel. So not much to talk about there. But yeah, just really weird. Here is a Beast Wars Transformer that I found. And the more you look at this, the worse it gets. If you start from right to left, you can just see the shell. But then you can also see that in that bottom left-hand picture, yes, folks, that is a cannon coming out of Brake's rectum. I mean, I know it's technically coming out of his spine, but based on the positioning, it's coming out of his rectum. I don't know what's... I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Who thought that was a good design choice? Oh, no, no, no. Oh, my goodness, that hurts my head. Okay. And then next up we have... these are actually really interesting. These are Ratchet and Ironhide's original toy designs. And yeah, you can really see they don't really look like much of anything. This is meant to be their bot mode. When they were in vehicle form, they looked fine, but for some reason, when they were in bot mode, they looked like this. And I cannot figure out for the life of me why. And it was so weird that Hasbro actually wound up sending stickers out to people. Or I don't know if you could buy them in the store. They were sent out to people that you could put on the windshield so it would look like a face. But then when you transformed it into vehicle mode, it would still have this face there. So like I mean, obviously once their official G1 designs came around, it became a lot better. The cartoons really did wonders for them. But yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just bizarre. I don't know what in the world this is meant to be. I mean, they have like some sort of abstract form of a body, but I mean, not really much else. Oh boy, and here's a couple that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about. Ones I have decided to call PlayStation Prime and Mega Genesis. So we're going to start with PlayStation Prime. I don't really know much about why these were released. I do know that they were Japanese exclusive made by Takara. And this is a version of Optimus Prime that turns into a PS1. And it looks really good. Like, it legitimately looks really good. A lot of crossover ones, or really even some Transformers design in general, you know, you kind of look at them and you go, okay, why? You know, why is this here? Why is that there? Why does he turn into this? But this is just legitimately well done. Like, I mean, if Optimus Prime could shrink down, I could see him turning into this. It looks really well done, really well scaled, and it's really good. I mean, one thing too, this Transformer doesn't have a lot of like that extra clutter crap hanging off of him that a lot of Transformers do, like Break, for example, that we looked at earlier with all the penguin stuff. But yeah, this is just really, really well done. And if you want to get your hands on one, I mean, it's not that bad. Um, you know, I mean, everybody just has $229 lying around, right? That's not just me. Everybody has that. Yeah, it's very expensive. I don't know who decided to charge that much for it, but yeah, apparently they're pretty rare, so yeah, good luck getting that. But here's what I like to call Mega Genesis. This is Megatron who turns into a Sega Genesis. Not really much to say. See, this is where it also becomes a little weird too, because these were released next to each other, but for some reason you have a 3D era console being paired with a 16-bit era console. Like that's a little strange to me. Like I don't know why you wouldn't have done like I don't know, like the Sega Saturn or something. So I mean that's a little strange. But one cool thing about this being a cartridge transformer is he actually does come with a cartridge. So obviously he turns into a Sega Genesis, but he's one of his accessories. It comes with a Sonic the Hedgehog cartridge that you can put into the cartridge slot. And I don't know, I think that's a little cool. But one thing that I was actually able to find out about this transformer is that he actually has two versions. The one you're looking at right now, which is the American Sega Genesis, but he also has a Sega Mega Drive version as well, which we'll take a look at in just 1 second here. I also want to show you guys the box as well. And also, so you can see that the price of this thing, it's let's just say it's not lower than Optimus. You know, it's it's not that bad, right? $350. I mean, would you rather? I guess the question is, would you rather have a figure that turns into a Sega Genesis, or would you rather have a PS5? I know I'd rather have a figure that turns into a Sega Genesis. I don't know about you, but yeah, here we go. Sega Mega Drive version as well. This one's it's kind of just mainly a change of color scheme, nothing much different there. But what you'll also notice is the cartridge is different. The cartridge is because this is the Japanese Sega Genesis. The cartridge is the Japanese version of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I thought was I like. That's cool. That's a really really nice touch, and I like that. Now, what I don't know is because they made an American and a Japanese version of this figure, if the American version was released in the States or not. Because I know that the PlayStation Prime was Japanese exclusive. I don't really have much information as to why they made an American and a Japanese version of Megatron. But, you know, I mean, that it's really cool that they went to the effort of doing that. And I mean, even though it's not much of a big change, it's cool. It's legitimately cool. Why these were made, I don't know. I have no clue why these were made. And like I said, it's also really weird consoles to pair with each other. The PlayStation 1 and the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. Like, I don't know what the pairing was with that. You know, it's not like PlayStation 1 and Xbox or like even like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Like, it's a very odd mix there. But yeah, definitely weird, but also one of the coolest Transformers things that I was able to find. Now, I mean, I gotta be honest with you guys. I don't really even know what this is. I know it's official. I don't know much more than that. This is an entirely see-through Megatron. That's kind of all I can tell you. I really am disappointed that I wasn't able to find more information about this. If you guys have any information about this figure, please let me know. I'd like to know why on earth this exists. I mean, this is just so damn stupid. It's Megatron's G1 self, but he's see-through. That's it. That's the whole thing. There's nothing else going on. I don't know why this is here. I have no idea why this was put on Earth, but it exists, I guess. And I mean, it's kind of cool to get a G1 figure this expressive, but like, why is it see-through? I would have like I don't have much to say on it because I don't know much about it, and also it's just a see-through version of Megatron. But you know, there you go. I guess see-through Megatron. Now we're gonna get into what I think is one of the weirdest subcategories of Transformers, because it's Transformers that take away the thing that makes them Transformers. These are Transformers that don't transform for one reason or another. In certain cases, this might be due to the fact that they're meant for little kids, and sometimes having transforming parts might be a little difficult for them, like this ugly abomination that looks like it crawled out of a toxic waste dump. And then other times it might be because they're collectible figures that aren't really meant to even necessarily be taken out of the box, like these, for example. These were made just for, nostalgic collectible purposes. But one of the strangest instances of this came right after Generation 1. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the world of Action Masters. Because I don't know what they were thinking here. So, right after G1, they decided to take Transformers in a whole new direction by making it to where the Transformers themselves don't transform at all. They fight like normal action figures. But what does transform are their weapons and their now large vehicles. Which, if we're going to talk about them having vehicles, I mean, we have to remind ourselves that Optimus Prime is the size of, like, probably a 3-story building. So a truck that he could fit in is probably immensely scary in size. So that doesn't really make much sense there. But yeah, you can see that they kind of like transform into having these mobile command center type things. And I don't really know what was going on here. And honestly, this line wouldn't be that notable if it weren't for the fact that, one, it was pushed hard. I mean, they thought this was the next direction of the Transformers franchise. And man, were they wrong. But yeah, they thought it was really big, but it's also notable because it's the first major wave to reintroduce a lot of the G1 characters who were killed in Transformers the movie. Primarily Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, like anybody who was killed in that movie, pretty much anybody, anyone major came back in this line, and it was the first time that they came back since their canonical deaths. So, pretty major stuff there. But I mean, otherwise, these are just kind of gimmicky, I think. I mean, not that the Transformers weren't kind of gimmicky in and of themselves, but I mean, they had a gimmick that made sense and was cool. This is just, I'm out of ideas with what to do with this franchise, so let's do the complete opposite. I mean, I don't know. It's just... and they gave a story reason for this too, like they're using a new form of energon that makes them more powerful, but then it makes it to where they can't transform. But then you have figures that have car components in them, like Optimus still has his windows on his chest, or Bumblebee has windows on the side, or like some of them still have tires or wings. It's like I don't know. It's just... This was a weird idea. It was a bad idea, and I'm glad that it is going into the depths of hell to be forgotten from now until the end of time, because this is a bad idea. And by the way, Hasbro, if you're listening, don't make Transformers toys that can't transform. That just sucks. Like this, that's just bad. Don't do it. Stop, please. They're Transformers. They like, it's in the name. Just stop, please. All right. Let's get back into crossovers now. So Transformers actually does a lot of crossovers with 80s movies, and this is one example. We'll go through a few here, but we'll start off with the Jurassic Park Tyrannicon Rex and Autobot JP93 figures here. These were bundled together, and these are obviously based off the scene in Jurassic Park where the kids are about to get eaten by the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but then just, don't, because they were in car, I guess. No, I mean, side note, I do really love Jurassic Park, so I mean, this is really cool for me to see, but yeah, very interesting to me. And I have to say, these figures have different things that I like about them. Number one, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I feel like Tyrannicon Rex is a much better name than Autobot JP93. I mean, they really couldn't come up with a better name than just the initials for the movie and the year it was released. Like, I mean, come on. They couldn't have done something better. Tyrannicon Rex, he feels kind of strange, I have to admit, because, or I think it's she. I don't know. I mean, it's a robot. Who cares? This feels kind of weird to me because it looks like a photorealistic dinosaur as opposed to looking like a robot dinosaur. And it does have a little bit of hang off on its arm, but ultimately it's not too bad. but it actually kind of reminds me of the old Beast Wars cartoons, you know, from the 90s, where it was like when they transformed, they almost looked like, at least in that art style, what was supposed to be realistic versions of the animals as opposed to looking like robotic versions of them. So I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, you don't really get to see Beast Wars stuff like that anymore. So I mean, this is probably as close as you might get. But then the Autobot JP93, while I don't really like its name, to me, this looks like a Transformer. I mean, this just is like a bona fide Transformer. Like, I feel like if it was any other paint job, you could see this as a normal thing released in stores. So I feel like they did a really good job with it. It looks like a Transformer, and that's really, really cool. Now, I'm not really sure specifically about this Jurassic Park crossover, but a lot of times with crossovers like this, they actually have to do with, or had to do with, the IDW comic crossovers, and they would release figures to promote it. These next couple are examples of that. So, up first, you have the car from Back to the Future. And I mean, look at this thing. This is cool. Like, these Transformers that they've done for crossovers, man, they are so good. So, so, so good. I mean, they even added the electric pole. Like, I don't see DeLorean figurine sets that come with it that are based off the movie. I mean, this is based off of that. And I mean, this is so cool. I love, too, that you can see, like, the flux capacitor in his chest, man. I mean, this is just really well done. And again, it looks like a actual Transformer that I might be able to see in stores. And I mean, that is just like, that's really nice, because a lot of times I find with crossovers they might look a little weird or wonky, but these people actually did a really good job with making it look like an actual Transformer that transforms into something from pop culture. Like, that's a really good job. And then the final one that I have for you right now, this is the Ecto one from Ghostbusters. I mean, again, this just looks really great, and this one actually comes with a little Slimer. I don't know why. I mean, it's cool, I guess, but you know, yeah, this one turns into Slimer. And I think this one's called Ectotron, which I mean, that's really cool. That's a cool little naming convention there. I couldn't really find a good shot of it in bot form, unfortunately. I was only able to find the shot of it on the box, but luckily the box does show you what the robot form looks like. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, I love these crossover things. The only problem is they're kind of hard to come by now because they're released for a very limited window. I would love if they just release stuff like this, you know? Like, there's not like a comic or like some sort of weird thing going on. Like, I just wish that they would do stuff like this, you know? I mean, but, you know, the fact that we get stuff like this at all is, it's nice. It's really cool. I like this. So in searching up things for this video, I was trying to find this Transformers GT Mission GTR, and this is where I want to shout out this YouTuber named Pigpen, because quite a few of these things I didn't actually even know existed before watching his Transformers Iceberg videos, which are so good. If you are a fan enough of Transformers to be this far into the video, please go watch those. They're really, really great, and they definitely help me with my research. But anyway, I was trying to find that thing, and it has something to do with Transformers anime, right? It's like an anime Transformers thing. So I looked that up in Google Images, anime Transformers, trying to find images for that, and I wound up finding these absolute horrid abominations. I don't know why these exist, to be honest. I don't even know if they're official. I know nothing about these, and that is my choice. I did not want to search more into these, quite frankly, because I mean, this could only lead down a dark path. There is no light at the end of this tunnel. And I mean, let's be real, whether or not you're an anime fan, there is no light at the end of this tunnel. This can only go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. So here are a couple of images I found, and this one tells you the name of the toy. So if you want to look into it for yourself, there you go. And it also gives you the price. So if you want to look into it for yourself, there you go. But what I actually wanted to find was this. Transformers GT Mission GTR was a collaboration with a Japanese racing promotion thing, which honestly wouldn't really be that notable. I mean, you can see they transform into racing cars, right? I mean, that's not bad. But what's actually notable about this is one, it got a manga. So, you know, there's that, I guess. If you want more Transformers manga, there you go. What these are noticeable for, or notable for, excuse me, dumb idiot mouth, what these are notable for is the fact that they come with fully articulated anime girls that are clothed like this. Like, bro, I swear we are on the brink of destruction as a society. I mean, I don't, why? Like, you couldn't have just released the funny car man toy thing. You had to include the hot anime girl along with that. Like, why? What? Like, dude, the lollies have taken enough from us. We don't need this. They don't need to take Transformers from us as well. Like, just, oh, oh my goodness. All right, well, that exists, and now you know it. Now you can share in my pain, or in your own pleasure if you're into that. Yeah, let's move on to the next thing. And the next category is not nearly as gross, but is almost just as painful because we are talking about Transformers buildable figures, which are either really bad looking or really not fun to play with, or in some cases, both. In this case, this is both because, folks, this is the Creo Transformers line, and these are just terrible. And they're terrible because of so many reasons. One, these figures, I mean, they look really, they look diseased. I mean, like, I don't, like, they just look horrible. The, the thing that makes these really bad, though, is the fact that you can only build it one way or the other. So in other words, you can only either build it as a robot or as a car. So if you want to transform it, you have to disassemble it entirely and rebuild it in the new form. Like, what kid wants that? I mean, that just sucks. That is painful. Also, for some reason, these sets all just decided to include a pilot or figure for all of these, which, I mean, for the Autobots, I could kind of understand, but like Starscream, do you honestly think Starscream is going to let any human being inside of him? I don't think so. Like, I don't know where that came from. But then also, just look at these. I mean, sometimes in vehicle forms, I will admit they actually don't look that bad. In some cases, they might even look kind of cool. But I mean, look at Starscream here. I mean, man is a triangle. Like, what happened to him? I don't... Like, this is just terrible. Like, there is another company, there is another line of Transformers buildables that did do a little bit of a better job, I will admit. But I just want to take 1 second to just give an ugh for Creo, okay? Ugh. Okay, we can move on. Transformers Construct Bots is another line of buildable figures that I was able to find. And these can apparently, according to the box, actually transform. Yay! Oh my goodness, yes. So these, I don't know, like, these are kind of strange. I mean, I get the whole building thing, but they don't really have their own unique look to them. You know what I mean? I mean, they're better looking than the Creo, but like for example, the Lego Optimus Prime figure that released. Like, I get that because it's, one, huge, two, has a lot of accessories, but three, it looks like a Lego set. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like Lego Optimus Prime. These just look like kind of disjointed Transformers figures, which isn't really that good of a look. But hey, at least they play well, you know? And they released quite a few of these, apparently. I wasn't expecting them to have released quite a few of these, but they released them based on multiple different themes. This one, as far as I can tell, is just kind of generic transformy type of thing. I don't know if it's necessarily G1, but it's very generic. And if you want to find one, again, they're findable and, at a very affordable price, I must say. I, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why these are so damn expensive. These are buildable figures. Who is paying 114? Okay, forget it. Moving on to the next one, okay? This one is actually released. I cannot English today. This one is actually based upon one of the Michael Bay movies. I believe this one is The Last Night, I think, maybe, but yes, it is based off of the Michael Bay movies. This is Grimlock. He is orange. Um, so there's that. He's orange Grimlock, and he comes with Optimus Prime. And he actually does fully transform, which I have to give them credit for. I mean, making this thing transform, I would not have guessed looking at the box. But yeah, he is Dinosaur. Honestly, not really much to talk about with this one, other than the absolute disgrace that is Optimus Prime. They had to size him down so much because of the fact that Grimlock is the main toy. So this dude is probably like 2 inches tall. And he fully transforms. I'll give them credit. He does transform into like I don't know, I guess some sort of doom buggy, but like, look at this dude. Look at this dude. He's downright stumpy. Oh my goodness, bro. All right, moving on. Now, if you grew up in my generation, some of you might actually recognize these things. These are the Marvel, and we'll be talking about Star Wars in a second, so hold on to your hats. The Marvel Transformers. Yeah, they made a ton of these things, man. They were all over the place. And let me tell you something, they were awful. They were garbage. They were terrible. I don't know why they made so many. And yeah, you can see even by the Hulk, they made a lot of recolors of these things. But yeah. Here's a price of one in case you're thinking of getting one for yourself. So, maybe don't do that. But yeah, no, these things were awful because they were finicky to transform. And I had this Hulk one when I was a kid. The treads on it would constantly break. So I can only imagine that other ones would break a lot as well. And I also had this Wolverine one as well. And you like his face. Look at his face. Like, why does it look like that? It's just like this yellow mass. Like, it's gross. It's really bad. I just don't know. And like some of the vehicle choices were very weird too. Like Iron Man and Human Torch being jets, I get, and Hulk being a tank, I get. But why is Wolverine a 4x4? And why is Spider-Man a motorcycle? Like I don't know what's going on. They did a lot of these, and they just didn't really look that great. And I think the worst thing about them was how they felt. Because, like I said, they were made cheaply. They felt like, I remember how they felt. The texture of them, they were just made of like the absolute cheapest plastic you can imagine. I mean, they felt like, I guess the best way to describe it is they felt like dirty. Like how like when you pick up a figure that you had as a kid that was like sitting in like a drawer for like a couple of months that like you just never touched until that moment. It felt like that. Like it felt like rough and coarse, but it just felt really bad. I don't know. I really don't know what was going on. They also made some for movies too. Like here's Iron Man 2 War Machine. It turned into a jet, which I mean again makes sense, but it would have been nice if they had done something maybe a little different from Tony. I mean, it's a different type of jet, but I mean, it's still a jet. And, this one actually apparently is going for cheaper. Like, they have a pretty varied price range for some reason. I don't know why, but then again, I don't know that I would necessarily trust buying something from a listing that has pizza slices in the title. So, buy that at your own risk, folks. And the Star Wars line had a lot of problems too. One of the biggest problems, apparently, now I didn't actually own any of these, but one of the biggest problems with the line was apparently the fact that, from what I've heard and was able to find out, it was riddled with clones. Like, there were so many clones and stormtroopers that just riddled the line for some reason. Like I think like over half the line was them, and I don't know why. I think it was just so they could put more vehicles, and they just didn't know what character to use, so they were like, "Oh, we'll use clone." And I think the other reason was because the clones didn't really look that terrible as vehicles. Some of the characters looked a little wonky. Darth Vader wasn't really one of those examples. Well, I mean, kind of, but this image is also a little distorted too. But yeah, they just. This is again, they went hog wild with this line. They were everywhere. But like, I mean, this just doesn't look right, does it? I mean, if you want a Star Wars action figure, do you really want one that turns into a ship? Like, I don't know. Like, it just is weird. And what's super weird about this line compared to the Marvel line, they would actually come with like little micro figures that you could put into the vehicle mode. So even though it was Darth Vader as a Transformer turning into a TIE fighter, you could put a little mini Darth Vader inside of him. So I don't know what was going on there. And I mean, granted, some of them didn't look that bad. I will admit, like the clones and even Darth Vader wasn't terrible. But then some of them looked like, well, this. I mean, this is just... whenever you got a human face with Transformers, it never went well. Ever. It never went well. But I mean, on top of that, also his body is just... I don't know what this is meant to be. I mean, it almost looks like some sort of intergalactic can opener. But... whenever you get a human face, it goes bad. Case in point, Luke Skywalker. Oh my goodness. Take the kids, get them out of the room, run. Because look at this horrid abomination. And this is, again, another case of an odd vehicle choice. I just want to mention this before we get back into dissing the crap out of the way this man looks. He turns into the Snowspeeder instead of the X-Wing, which is really strange, because he could have turned into the X-Wing. He has the right colors for it. He has the right uniform. Like, I don't know why they turned him into the Snowspeeder from Hoth. But yeah, this dude looking like Captain Chin, Crimson Chin, whatever his name is. I mean, like, what in the world is going on with that? It just is really weird. And again, another micro figure thing. So I guess even though this is the Luke Skywalker Transformer, it's not actually Luke Skywalker. It's just a Transformer that happens to look like Luke Skywalker that turns into his vehicle, but then Luke Skywalker's paired with him. Do you see why that I hate this line? This is just so confusing, and it makes my head hurt. I honestly just want to forget this existed. And I want to forget both Marvel and Star Wars because these had so much potential. These could have been really cool, but they weren't. They were bad and terrible and made cheaply. So let's forget and move on to the next thing here because I honestly don't want to talk about these anymore. Now, ladies and gentlemen, clocking in at originally 575 American dollars. Now around $1,200 if you're trying to collect it today. Standing over 2 feet tall. This is the largest Transformers figure to have ever been released to a global market, or actually just ever in general. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Unicron. And oh my goodness, this guy is girthy. Now, I don't really have much to say about him because really the only unusual thing about him is his size. But wow, this guy looks fantastic. This is insane. I mean, look at him. He's beautiful. And in case you're wondering, yes, he does indeed transform. This is not just a statuette. This is a fully posable, transforming figure that is over 2 feet tall. I mean, I would love to have this into my collection one day because of how monumental in size it is. I mean, that it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Again, I don't really have much to say about it, but I really thought I should bring it up because I don't know how many people heard about this, and it actually didn't release that long ago. I think it only released in like 2019. So I mean, yeah, this is insane. It's so huge, and it only released a few years ago. Yeah, I mean, not really much to say about that, but I just thought you guys might like to see it. Now, this next one, I have to admit, I'm actually kind of proud of myself for finding because I had no idea this existed, and this is definitely one of the weirdest ones I've ever seen. Apparently, at some point in time, they decided to make a couple of Transformers figures that turned into Canon cameras, and these look really bad. Like this literally just looks like some kid ripped apart their Optimus Prime figure and just super glued the legs to their dad's camera. But here it is. I mean, it's cool. I have to admit, like, it's cool. They decided to slap the Canon logo on Optimus's arm too, which makes no sense. But yeah, this is he turns into a Canon camera. One cool thing they did too is you could see the matrix of leadership in the lens, which I thought that was kind of neat. But it's not functioning. In case you're wondering, I actually had to look a lot into it to figure it out whether or not it was functioning, but it's not. I don't know why I thought it was, but I just thought, well, maybe. It's really detailed, and I will admit when it does turn into camera form, it looks a lot like a real camera. But yeah, does anybody know why this exists? Like, I feel like fans of Transformers and fans of Canon cameras, I just feel like they can't be one and the same, right? Or at least not one and the same to such a large scale that you make a figure based off of it. I mean, it's strange. I mean, it's strange enough to do one figure, but as far as I can tell, they did two. I don't know why. There's so many of these. I mean, granted, I only found two, but I feel like two is too many. But yeah, this one's called Refractor. And do you want to know what's really stupid about this one? Like why they would make two of these? They both turn into the same damn thing. They both turn into a camera. Like usually when they do crossover stuff, it's like, one might turn into one type of camera, but no, I mean these as far as I can tell, these look exactly the same. I have no idea what's going on. And also, I have to admit, like finding a lot of information out about these was really, really hard because, I mean, most of my information came from the boxes here, and the boxes are written in Japanese. So my information about these, I will admit, is kind of limited. But from what I can tell, this one also has their own, like, matrix thing that goes in the middle. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is just from looking at it. But what's also really weird and admittedly a little cool, apparently from what I can tell, this dude also has a mini con that turns into a camera as well. But like, why? Like, why does he need a mini con that turns into the thing that he can turn into? I mean, I guess it's no worse than Megatron turning into a gun when he has a gun, and also all the other Decepticons have guns. But like, it's neither here nor there. I don't know. This was a weird crossover, but don't worry, we're gonna get into quite a few more. Now you've heard of Pepsi Man, but get ready for Pepsi Prime. That was the only pun I have for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a version of Optimus Prime that turns into a Pepsi Convoy, as it's called. And I should mention a lot of these are Japanese exclusive. Like a lot of like a lot of these like weird brand things, they're Japanese exclusive. I find this one especially strange though because Pepsi owns Mountain Dew, and they were able to get the rights to do the Pepsi Convoy. And by the way, that is a very affordable price for this thing. They were able to get the rights to do Pepsi, but they weren't able to get the rights to do Mountain Dew, which I find to be a little strange. But yeah, not really much different about this Optimus Prime, at least in figure form, other than the fact that like he has a little more red in him and like Pepsi stickers all over him for some reason. But yeah, I mean, I have to admit this one does work a lot better than the camera one because also Optimus Prime already turns into a truck anyway, so who's to say he can't turn into a Pepsi truck? Like that actually, like it makes sense. It works. The camera one, I will never understand. That one will always boggle my mind. But yeah, it also comes with like this weird Pepsi bottle to put into the thing. See, this is where I kind of disconnect from it a little bit because instead of it like being a truck that delivers Pepsi, it's delivering a singular Pepsi bottle. And by the way, no, like I said, this comes with the toy, and it's like a part of the toy. So I don't know what this does. I don't know if it's like if it stores as accessories or something. I have no clue. But yeah, that's Pepsi Prime. Um, a true gift to humanity. Now, this is a really weird crossover, and there are actually quite a few of these. These are Toshiba USB devices. This one's a USB adapter, and what's really weird about these is they actually work. These are fully functioning electronic devices. This is a USB port adapter thing, and it actually looks cool. It looks like a transformer, so that's got it going for it, which most of these don't, as you'll see in a second here. But like, yeah, here's another one. This is Grimlock, but he's turns into a dinosaur and also turns into a mouse. And yes, it's a fully functioning mouse. There's several of these, by the way. I'm not even showing you all of them. I'm showing you 4 out of 6, like because I just didn't want this video to like be so long, and also a lot of them are the same thing. Like you kind of have 2 for each, except for that USB port. He's kind of his own thing, but I don't know how they managed to pull this off. I am genuinely impressed that they managed to make fully functioning electronic devices Transformers. Uh, I mean, I don't know why they did this, but they did it. And I found this one. It's kind of Grimlock's counterpart, and it's a Decepticon called Mousesaurus. By the way, that's not actually its real name, but that's what it says in the picture, so I'm going to call this thing Mousesaurus from now until the end of eternity. There is... It is my headcanon that there is a transformer who turns into a mouse called Mousesaurus, and you can do nothing to disrupt that. Then there's also a fully functioning USB that turns into a Jaguar Panther type of deal. I like a mouse I could kind of see, but like, why would you want a thing that could store potentially sensitive information to be made of plastic parts that move? Like, oh no, my family vacation photos got blown up in smoke because little Timmy decided to rip off the leg of my Jaguar USB transformer. Like, dude, I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, this is called the device Jaguar, apparently, so there you go, there's that. Its official name is Device Jaguar. And the last ones that I have for you guys are these very early Beast Wars figures that had Optimus Prime turning into a bat and Megatron turning into a gator. And I don't know why these exist. I mean, especially since you had, like, kind of, sort of, like, predecessor-type versions of Megatron and Optimus existing in Beast Wars, but like I said, these were early on. These guys actually have their own micro-continuity told in comics that came with them, which is really cool, but I don't know, these figures are always kind of weird to me, just like in terms of the way that they look. And I mean, when these came out, they really weren't touched upon too much because, I mean, you know G1 fans, right? Especially at the time. The second you mention Beast Wars, their eyes light up red. So, you know, it wasn't really that well received at the time. But yeah, I mean, these look fairly cool, I have to admit. At least nowadays. At least, so my opinions of these are as follows. The Optimus Prime looks cool, but it doesn't really make sense why he turned into a bat. You would imagine him to turn into a more prominent animal like a rhino or a lion or a gorilla or something like that. Something more, you know, menacing and like leader-like. But then with Gatortron, I guess we'll call him, I think him turning into a gator makes perfect sense. However, it looks like the Gator Ghoul from Scooby-Doo. That is not a compliment by any stretch of the imagination. A toy that looks like the Gator Ghoul from Scooby-Doo needs to be put down and shot. Like, it needs to go away. But, yeah, I mean, these guys were really cool. I don't really have much more to say about them. And I also don't have much more to say in general, actually. This is it. This is all that I was able to find for you guys. This has been a absolutely wild ride, and I know that it's taken me a long time to get back into YouTube and even get back into making this video because I teased it a little bit, but yeah, I'm sorry. I hope it was worth the wait for you guys. And I really enjoyed making this, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. And I hope that the next one won't be as long of a wait as this one was. But in any case, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.